Using other people's resources and able to go out and focus my business or my time on finding great opportunities has been the greatest growth strategy for us.
Raising $200,000, $300,000, it's a lot of money.
It is, and again, if you're starting out today, you probably wouldn't. One of the things I'm going to go through tonight is wealth building is the accumulation of assets. Our business model is buy and hold. At the end of the day, I'm a long-term vision person.
Now you guys own a ton of doors. What does the operation look like on that side?
So you have to understand how to be a manager. You have to understand how to be almost a psychologist. You have to understand basics of accounting. You have to understand what's important, what's not important, when to talk and when to shut up, and when to, just when to be alive and when to have energy and when to kind of tone it down. You really need to understand your product type. Just like you have a product and neighborhood niche, you also have a marketing niche.
Willie, for anybody that doesn't know you, really a quick overview of what have you done in the last few years in real estate investing? And then I would love to focus on what do you do right now? What does the business look like?
Yeah, so last few years, our primary business is buying value add properties in the city of Boston is essentially what it comes down to. We don't buy anything that's rent ready. We don't, if you can move into it tomorrow, we're not interested. We're looking for the properties where the roof is leaking, furnaces is bad, probably needs a gut renovation, or we're doing new development. And typically our business model is buy and hold. We dabble in the condo market a little bit here and there, but our primary business is either buy, rehab and hold, or build and hold, essentially.
What got you thinking of just sticking into that niche market of buy and hold? Because obviously you get all type of opportunities your way. You can do flips and you can wholesale, right? There's so much to real estate investing.
Yeah, I think it comes down to my personality. I think at the end of the day, I'm a long-term vision person, right? I don't really have a great need for money today. I'm always kind of I want to work my ass off right now and then retire, kind of take it easy a little bit later. So I think that's where the buy and hold strategy comes in. I think the same properties that I'm taking and holding on to right now are condo opportunities, right? You can take them or you can flip them. Some people cash out, take the money today. I looked at it and said, hey, let's say I make $100,000. Fed comes in, they take 45 of it. State comes in, they take their money, blah, blah, blah. I'm left with 50. What am I going to do with it? I already have, my home is good. My cars are good. Kids are paid for. I would rather defer and take that money down the road. And there's so many benefits tax-wise and everything to just holding on to properties. And we can get into, so many different nuances, but I can access that same $100,000 by basically just tapping into the debt on that property, putting an extended note, a second position note, or refinancing the property and pulling cash back out the same way. And that money's untaxed. So.
Gotcha. Looking back, because obviously tonight's event is all about 12 creative strategies, right? There is so much to it. We can talk about all of them, but looking back at your growth, which one of those strategies gave you the biggest fuel, the biggest push forward in real estate investing?
I'll tell you the biggest push, and I'm going to say this tonight during the presentation. I referenced Ben Parker. For those of you not familiar, Ben Parker is Spider-Man's uncle. He said, with great power comes great responsibility. And I say that because the biggest strategy, the thing that's taken me the furthest, is leveraging debt, meaning most investors, when they get into the business, there's an assumption that you have to use your own money to get into properties. I often, and I do it responsibly, take other people's money and use that to 100% leverage out my properties. The reason I'm able to do that, and I say this because I want to make sure people understand, is I'm not buying $1 million properties for $1 million. Meaning if you're going in and you're buying rent-ready properties and they cost $1 million and they're worth $1 million today, I'm taking Enis's money and I'm using Enis's money as a down payment for the loan, you're going to run into trouble. That is, there's no equity spread there. I'm buying properties 50, 60 cents on the dollar and then using other people's money. And what I'm often able to do is at the end of this renovation, I end up with a property, let's call it 800,000, it's worth $1 million. I'm able to cash out and give you your money right back 6 to 9 months to 12 months on the table, down the road. So using debt or using equity, but using other people's resources and able to go out and focus my business or my time on finding great opportunities has been the greatest growth strategy for us.
Gotcha. So focus on finding off-market deals while at the same time raising capital and finding private lenders. Anyone that's starting out, because obviously for me and you, years later, right, and we do this every day, it gets easier, right? People get to know you, the brand is out there, you're doing deals, the credibility is there, but someone starting out, how can they raise capital? Right, Boston is expensive, right? So raising $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, it's a lot of money.
It is, and again, if you're starting out today, you probably would. And one of the things I'm going to go through tonight is wealth building is the accumulation of assets, right? It's how do I grab the first one, the second one, the third one. You wouldn't start off by raising debt. Number one, you don't have the resume and you don't have the construction experience. I can walk into most of the buildings that we're renovating and say 200,000, 300,000. And that's the trouble that most new investors are going to have is what is that rehab budget? And if you don't know that, you're going to have trouble presenting yourself to a private lender. You're going to have trouble getting that loan anyway. You start off by the FHA, the mass housing, the NACA, whatever it may be. You get that first one. Then I start to go into creative ways. Like, for instance, I bought, a second home that I positioned as my parents' home. 5% down. I bought, a vacation home, 5% down. You start to look for other programs and other opportunities where you're not putting 20% down, but you're still coming up with something out of pocket. And then gradually you can move yourself in. Once you've built a resume, you have a position within the market and you can show competence, then you can start moving into this is what I have. Enis, I need to borrow $100,000. I'm going to pay you 12 to 15% on your money. Willie, how do you do that? Well, here's what I've done so far. Here's the next opportunity I have on the table, and I want you to join in with me.
That's awesome. And obviously, buying off market is the biggest part of this whole equation, right? So walk us through how you find deals now, what's working for you guys. Again, Boston is expensive. A lot of people stay away from the city for that reason, right? More opportunities for us, right? Because we are always looking in the city, but just curious, how do you find these deals?
In the beginning, I think if I take a step back, right, I'm a big believer, and again, this is scary for most people, but this is a fact. If you are able to develop a niche, or however you pronounce it, that's going to be your biggest asset, your greatest asset. A lot of people, when I started off, I grew up in Quincy. I know Dorchester really well. I went to Northeastern University. I know Roxbury really well. I was trying to chase deals in Rockport, Mass. Today, I couldn't even tell you how to get to Rockport, Mass. Have no idea. I've done deals in Medford, lost money. Why? Because I didn't know the neighborhood. I thought Medford was closer to Assembly. I built condo developments in Medford as if they were in Assembly. They weren't. I lost money as a result of that. You really need to understand your product type, meaning even within my neighborhoods of Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan, and Quincy, I don't do a lot of major development, 10, 15, 20 unit buildings. I stick to the residential, the 2, the 3, the 4. I know them inside out. I know the triple decker or the 3-family in Boston like the back of my hand. When you know your product type and you know your market and you really hone in on that, you have that product. And then to answer your question directly, then you start to go to events like yours, events like mine, and you really start to just work the room and really understand what you're looking for. On top of that, just like you have a product and neighborhood niche, you also have a marketing niche. I think a lot of people try to, when they're new investors, Enis is cold calling. I heard he's having success with that. I'm going to start cold calling. Willie's doing mailers. He's having success with that. So I'm going to do some mailers. That's not the way that you have success in your marketing strategy. Willie's having success in mailers because he sends out 10,000 mailers every month or 10,000 mailers every year. And it's consistent, right? And I've tried this. You can't send out 1,000 mailers and expect to get a response. That's just not the way it works. You can't cold call for 2 days and expect to get results. It's the consistency in the niche. There's nuances in everything that you do and that we do as investors, and you have to learn those nuances. There's certain words. I read a whole book on copywriting. One of Russell Brunson's guys, I can't remember his name, but it's all about using power words in your marketing, right? So when I send out letters, a new investor would say something like, "I want to buy your ugly house." You don't say stuff like that, right? There are certain words that you use. I'm not an investor. Just a guy from the neighborhood looking to buy a home for my family, right? It's certain things that you knew to the point without drowning on too much is you don't learn those nuances if you're bouncing around from cold calling to networking to mailers to everything else. Just like your neighborhood, just like your product type, you have to have a marketing niche that's specific to you as well.
Gotcha. What's working best for you guys right now in 2025?
I've been in the game for 20 years. So, I mean, what's working for us right now is getting the name out there, continuing to have conversations with guys like yourself, continuing to come to networking meetings, showcasing our successes has been through Wealth Builders, through Whiteacres, going out and talking to the public, showing them, hey, this is how you get things done. That's not comfortable for everybody. Not everybody's comfortable in front of the camera. Not everybody's comfortable in speaking in front of rooms. And it's something that I've developed over the years. I didn't start off like this. But that is our greatest asset today, is just going out and just continuing to show this is what we've done. This is how we've done it. And if you have an opportunity, we'd love to partner with you, bring you on, and show you kind of the way as well.
Love it. Obviously the brand has been out there for a long time. And I remember even being at, you were hosting events all the time, even back in the day, and I came to a bunch of them. What have you learned from building the brand? What's the biggest takeaway from just getting the name out there? I see, you guys have even the trucks have the name, the shirts have the brand. Like
consistency. Yeah. That's all it is. Consistency and patience. Again, most people believe that, if I come to this networking meeting tonight, I'm going to leave with $500,000 and 10 deals in my pocket. That's just not the way things work. Often in real estate, the way things work is, Willie, I saw you 2 years ago at a networking event. You said something about you focusing on Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan. My aunt just called me and she has a great deal in the Dorchester neighborhood. It's a 3-family. I know you focus on those. I've saved your business card for 2 years. Do you think we can possibly do something together? That's the way real estate works. Most people don't have the stamina. I think a lot of investors fail because of lack of patience and lack of stamina, lack of consistency. You've been in the market, we've come to my events, I've come to yours for years. We've been around. And it takes those years to circle back around. Real estate is not traded like bread and milk. People assume that it's not bought and sold every day. Sellers take time. The first contact is made, and there's been times where I've talked to sellers for multiple years before they decided to move on something. So to answer your question directly, it's consistency, it's stamina, it's patience, it's understanding that this is going to take time. But if you're patient and consistent, it will happen.
If we switch gears a little bit and talk about the rental side, right? Because now you guys own a ton of doors. What does the operation look like on that side? Because it looks like the units are beautiful, they're really taken care of. So obviously you have less maintenance, right, for quite some time. Anything that you want to share there, any golden nuggets for anybody that's jumping into property management, have some units but wants to increase the revenue?
Sure, I can talk for 20 minutes about this, but I would say that the biggest thing that I'm learning, I've been in the game I'm 41 right now. I've been doing this since I was 23, so approaching the 20-year mark. The biggest thing that I've learned recently about scaling your business is most people think that if you're a doctor and you want to open up a practice, you're no longer a doctor, you're a manager, you're a psychologist, you're an accountant, you're a marketing specialist. That's what people struggle with. And that's what I've struggled with over the years as well, is I can read every book, and I have read every book under the sun about trading real estate, about buying and selling and investing in rents and cap rates and deal analysis and everything else. But if I can't articulate that to you, my acquisitions manager, if I can't articulate to you, to my CFO, what I'm looking for, what the goal is, if I can't achieve and articulate to my team where we're headed and what the vision is, I'm going to have a difficult time growing. And you have to be able to. So what I've had to do over the years is expand my education, and it has to go from mastering my craft to reading about psychology, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Surrounded by Idiots. Really popular book. It's about personality types. It's about understanding reds and blues and greens and different, the introvert versus the extrovert, and understanding when to talk and when to shut up and when to, just when to be alive and when to have energy and when to kind of tone it down, when to let the team member take over. So you have to understand how to be a manager. You have to understand how to be almost a psychologist. You have to understand, you don't have to be a marketer, but you have to understand what the expectation is for your marketing team. You have to be an accountant. You don't have to be an accountant himself, but you have to understand the basics of accounting. You have to understand what's important, what's not important. So that's the challenge to really growth these days is we have the formula, the burst strategy. We find them, we fix them. You have to be a hiring manager. One of my biggest challenges today is losing team members. It's hey, this person is in their 60s, they're no longer their hands hurt, their carpentry skills are declining. How do we keep them and show them the respect that they deserve for staying with us for these years, but also transition into a younger, more able body, as we go along. So there's a lot of aspects to it. And it's the same as if you're running a bakery, if you're running a marketing firm, or if you're running an accounting practice. You have to expand your knowledge to not just your practice, but to becoming a manager, becoming a CEO, of that business.
Gotcha. A lot of people that watch my channel, they're typically local, right? They know our market. So if you don't mind, I'll go let's dive into some numbers. Mm-hmm. Rough numbers, they don't have to be exact, but mm-hmm. I know typically you like the 3-4 unit buildings. What are you buying them for, roughly? How much are you putting into it? I'm going to ask you if you self-perform. I know you guys have a crew, so you got your own people to take care of the construction, but buying, renovation costs, and then what are we looking at as far as the rent coming in for those units? Again, rough numbers. You can think of a recent deal, but now, we pretty much bringing people to the exact area, exact numbers that you're doing deals.
Looking directly at the camera. I'll give you this exact address, 28 Fernborough Street in Dorchester. I believe it's 02121. We bought it last January. I want to say, and again, I'm giving you rough numbers, somewhere around 750 to 770, somewhere around there. That's typically what we're trying to buy things on, about 50 to 60 cents on the dollar. We put about $250,000 into it. I mean, and I'm using rough numbers here. I would say closer to 200,000, then in financing costs and mortgage costs and holding costs and everything else. We're into it for roughly $1 million. And at the end of the day, and you can look this address up, 28 Fernborough Street, it's appraised at basically 1,375. So we've created about, $375,000 worth of equity within a 120-day period, essentially. Yes. So that was one of the more recent deals, but that's typically our business model. We look for, I have some, what I would describe as A-class neighborhoods. We have, I went to Northeastern University, and just from a pride point, we own 6 units that are very close. We basically were all 6 units that the students are going to Northeastern University. Those are kind of what I would describe as legacy properties. They're not going to spit off a bunch of cash flow for us. They're more appreciation. We have a significant amount of equity in them, but they're not producing a lot of cash for us. They will at some point. Our primary business is in the B- to C+ neighborhoods. They're a little bit rougher. We can find assets somewhere in the 750 range. Again, they need a significant amount of work. They're most likely going to be, I love it when you realtors put, will not qualify for FHA financing. that is my key to say, hey, I'm here. They're not going to qualify for conventional financing. There's chipping paint. There's no furnace working. There is broken windows or roof leak. We love that stuff because we're going to go in, we're going to try to buy it somewhere around 750. $250,000 is our rehab budget, where the targeted ARV of somewhere around 1.3, 1.35. So we're creating a little of equity, and those properties typically cash flow for us as well.
That's awesome. I guess so you're not doing full gut renovations for typically you don't want to go that route.
Not typically. Again, if we're going to do a full gut, it tends to be more of an appreciation play than anything. Like we're in Savin Hill. Savin Hill is a more prestigious neighborhood in Dorchester. We will likely have students at one of these buildings. We're into the building for, call it 1.6 million. It just appraised for $2 million. It will not cash flow. We're probably going to lose $1,000 a month on it. But again, it was an opportunity to basically create $500,000 in equity. So we took the opportunity. It will probably take a year or two before we'll see rental increases where we'll balance out, we'll break even, and then we'll start making money maybe 3-4 years down the road.
What's the thought process on, waiting 5 years and even being negative, right? Because now you got the appreciation, but the cash flow is not there.
Yeah.
Just curious, how do you navigate those first 5 years, right?
Yeah.
And then the thought process to stick with it long term.
Great power requires great responsibility, or whatever Ben Parker said, something like that. But basically, I'll give you my answer.
Yeah.
Is if I borrow $200,000 from you, and then I take your $200,000 and I'm paying you 12% or 15% on the money or whatever, and I take that $200,000 and I shuffle it over to Needham Bank, and Needham Bank gives me the other $800,000 or whatever I need to purchase that property. I'm essentially no money into this thing whatsoever, right? Out of my own pocket, but I'm losing $1,000 a month. If you tell me, hey, you're going to lose $1,000 a month for the next 24 months, and then you're going to break even. 1,000 times 24 is $24,000. And then I'm going to start breaking even, and I can start, refinance and pay you back off or whatever like that. So essentially what you're saying is I just bought a $2 million asset for $24,000 spread out over 2 years. I'm taking that deal all day long.
The upside is so much bigger.
The upside is so much bigger.
Compared to the downside.
I created $500,000 in about 9 months of work on my time and risk, but I'm losing $1,000 a month. And it's not like $24,000 is coming out of my pocket and I'm saying, here, $24,000. I'm saying over the next 2 years, which I can probably buy another cash flow property that'll pay for this one, it is going to be spread out over the next 2 years. And if things go really well, maybe rents jump up and it's only a year. But if you're going to give me that deal, I would take that deal 100 times over. And again, it's not for the new investor. You're playing with Enis's money, Needham Bank's money. There's a lot of moving parts. If Enis calls his note early and says, hey, I need my money back, you have to have the liquidity to shuffle that around or borrow it from another partner and get that back. There's a lot of moving parts there. Experienced investors, again, with knowledge, you have to have, that level of responsibility. You want to make sure that the industry is protected. You want to make sure that, like I said, your reputation is protected. You said something a couple of minutes ago that I think is really, really important. A lot of the same investors come to your networking meetings. A lot of the same investors come to my networking meetings. The industry itself is really small at the end of the day. You and I have known each other for years. There's only a few people, and this is not just the real estate industry, this is most industries. My wife is a pharmacist. She'll tell you the exact same thing, that are making major moves within an industry. If you want to be one of those major or those figures that are making moves, your reputation is very, very important. It's everything. Enis knows people. You rip him off, he's going to tell people, you don't pay him back, you're late on this. He's going to say, well, don't lend to blah, blah, blah. She whatever it may be. Your reputation is extremely important. And that's one of the reasons I'm sitting here today, is because over the years, I've done everything I can to protect that reputation, the reputation of the industry as well.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. You mentioned the word vision earlier. What's your vision for Willie, for J&J companies, just next 10, 20 years? How does that look like? I'm
not going to lie to you. I'm a little fuzzy on it. If you asked 25-year-old Willie what his goals were, or if you told 25-year-old Willie that at 40-year-old Willie, you'd be sitting somewhere around $60 million worth of real estate. I've done some amazing things, and not to brag, just what real estate has allowed me to do. I knocked down my house and, built it up. We basically customized our own home. I recently bought my mother a house. I bought my in-laws a house. We're looking at vacation and land in the north. I don't know, because I'd be like, well, that's freaking awesome. Like, where else is there to go? And I think you do get to a certain point in your life where ambition starts to dwindle just a little bit, and I think I'm there. I think I can tell you this, over the next few to say several to 5 years, really what our plan is just to help as many other people as we possibly can. I think it sounds cliche and it sounds corny, but it really does. The next dollar means less to me than it does to somebody else that I can help, right? I mean, it means to see somebody else that light bulb go off and say, hey, I didn't know I could do that, or I didn't know this was possible for me, or you really kind of open some doors or kind of just shine some light on something that I didn't know was available, means a lot more internally than the next Fernborough, so to speak, you know? So, so that I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a little fuzzy there. I think we'll kind of work it out and kind of just see where it takes us. But
yeah, no, I appreciate you being honest.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, as far as we're always pivoting, right? And sometimes, you know, especially with family and family time, it changes. Every year is different, right? And you have accomplished a lot in a short amount of time.
it does, and I mean, not to drone on, but you hit it on the head. It's like my in-laws are getting older; they're in their 70s. My mother is in her mid 60s. My children are getting older, and there's a balance between ambition and being present. Ambition and in this business, if you really want to grow, you have to put your head down and read and study and come to these networking meetings. But these networking meetings also mean that you're not somewhere else. So. It's a challenge. You want to get to a point where you're comfortable, and you've said that you've done some things in your life, and I look at life like this. When I get to whatever that point is, right, where I'm looking back and saying I have more time behind me than I do ahead of me, am I proud about what I accomplished? And that's really what it comes down to. Really, I don't have a desire to say, oh, I need $100 million in real estate, or I need 200 doors, or anything like that. It's really just, when I look back, am I satisfied? Am I happy about what I've done? So.
That's awesome. We got to wrap up because we got to head over to the meetup. To wrap up, tell everybody where to find you. Let's talk about the meetup. I know you got other things, so anything you want to share,
Yeah, I'm getting old, and I am no longer on Instagram, so you won't find me there. I'm no longer on Facebook, so you won't find me there. You can, if you have an opportunity, if you're in Dorchester and you're Roxbury, Mattapan, Quincy, and you want to meet up or something like that, first initial, last name at Gmail. So wmandrell@gmail is my direct email. I'm on LinkedIn still, and obviously we have our meetup is Boston Wealth Builders. If you just Google Boston Wealth Builders, we're on Meetup. You can join the group. There's no cost. Come to our meetings, come to our networking event. We can connect. But in my old age, I try to be as selective about. I got to a point where everybody's like, I DM'd you like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, I don't know what a DM is, so I'm like,
don't DM me.
Don't
I don't know
DM me.
what that is.
Don't DM me. So I'm like, I don't know what that is. But so yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Meetup, or you can just email me directly.
Yeah, Boston Wealth Builders, a really, really nice meetup, guys. So check it out. I've come to a bunch of them starting out. Really thankful for you putting it out there. Learned a lot from Willie, even just basic financing. I think you had some meetups that were just kind of breaking down how you bought the first and second house. And to me, starting out, that was huge. Just kind of having someone open or take that curtain out and show you behind it, that was huge.
Appreciate it.
So thank you for that. Guys, if you want to meet guest speakers like Willie, you got to come to the meetup event. So go to Boston Wealth Builders, come to ours, but just show up, network. There's a lot to learn, and you can make deals work. You can raise capital. Just it's going to give you the energy to really keep going. We got to go, right? So let's wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Man.
This was great, man.
Thanks
Thank you.
for having me.